It's your turn, and you know how you want to use your actions. But how does damage actually work? And what are the ways to do damage? Also, are there conditions? How do those work? All valid questions, and we'll get to them in this video. Yes, we'll talk about damage first. Typically, to figure out your damage, you'll use this equation. D Marvel times multiplier plus ability score. D Marvel stands for the Marvel die, the red one, or whatever way you use to tell it apart from the other dice. The multiplier is typically your rank, unless you have a power that changes it, but you can't stack multiplier bonuses from different sources. For the ability score, the power will tell you which score to use. Typically, close range attacks are melee, range attacks are agility, magic is ego, and psychic is logic. For example, if Spider-Man wanted to use Spider Strike on an enemy, he'd make a melee check against their melee defense. Any physical damage is reduced from your health, and mental damage is reduced from your focus. If your health goes below 1, you're knocked unconscious, which we'll talk about later during the conditions part of the video. If your health goes to the negative value equal to your max health, you die, which isn't really much of a worry in the Marvel Universe considering heroes come back to life all the time. And there are even powers and traits that automatically bring you back. The Green Door, for example. When your focus goes below 1, you become demoralized. More on that later. If it goes to negative value equal to your max focus, you become shattered, which is basically being like in a comatose state, like a vegetable, like your mind is so shattered and destroyed from all the mental damage that you can't do anything, which again will be covered more in the conditions portion. If you get a fantastic success with any attack, it does double damage. If you're doing a close attack and get a fantastic success and the character has the mighty power, they can choose to do knockback instead of the power's regular special effect. For every damage multiplier, the target is knocked back 5 spaces. For example, say Spider-Man gets a fantastic success on a Spider Strike on Green Goblin. The player can choose to knock him back 25 spaces instead of paralyzing him with webbing. And then if to say Green Goblin gets hit back into a wall, he doesn't take any additional damage because they consider the double damage from the fantastic success to be part of them hitting something. Now, there is a way to reduce damage if you have a damage reduction on your health or focus. It lowers the damage multiplier of the attack. For example, Green Goblin has a -1 health damage reduction, so if Spider-Man punches him, his damage multiplier is reduced by 1. If the multiplier is reduced to 0, the attack does no damage. Different sources of damage reduction don't stack. On that note, we'll talk a little bit about healing and recovery. Every hour you rest, you regain health and focus equal to your rank. Every hour you sleep, you regain double your rank. You can recover in combat by using an action and spending 1 point of karma to do a resilience check for health and a vigilance check for focus with a TN of 10. On a success, you add up the dice and multiply it by your rank, and that's how much you recover. On a fantastic success, it's doubled. And you can't spend a karma to help the roll. Now, you can't recover while unconscious and demoralized, but you can if you're killed or shattered. Next is weapons. The rule is to assume that most players are holding back and stabbing or shooting in non-vital spots and not actually trying to kill anyone since they're supposed to be heroes, but it really depends on the players and the type of game you're playing. Like if your group wants to be the Savage Avengers, then they probably don't mind killing people. Here's a chart of the weapons in the core book. It covers most of the basic stuff. Damage multipliers don't stack, so if you're using a weapon, you'd use whichever bonus is higher. It's usually your normal character's bonus. And here's additional rules for weapons from the book. Basically extra effects some of the more complicated weapons have. Also, you don't have to worry about ammunition or reloading. It's like an adventure hero game. Like, you don't need to mess around it. Hawkeye's not really worried about how many arrows he actually has in the quiver. There's also a tag that's signature weapon and a power that's iconic weapon, where you basically come up with your own rules for more unique weapons. Say, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, or the Ebony blade, Black Knight. You would just kind of come up with your own rules, and then the narrator has to approve what the rules are for said weapon. And the signature weapon, the tag signature weapon, is usually more like generic stuff, like Moon Knight's crescent darts. They don't do anything specific, like different. It's just, oh, this is the weapon he's using when he's using a melee weapon attack. And last is conditions. Here are all the different conditions and what they do. Most of the conditions are caused by different powers when you get a fantastic success. They'll say so in the powers description. We'll talk about that more in the powers video. If this is your first video, you should go back and start at part 1. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any new videos.